All right. So it's 6:35. I think we can start now. Um, right. So a very warm welcome to everyone present here today. This is Rahil Agarwal from We Speak IIT Bombay, and I will be your host. Here with us, we have Hruday Mudam, a seasoned talent acquisition specialist with vast experience managing end-to-end recruitment processes for various IT and non-IT roles. Mr. Hruday has been on both sides of the hiring process, helping companies scout and retain top talent, as well as guiding professionals to the jobs they desire. He also has experience organizing TEDx talks, one recently on the theme Transcendental Ripple, exploring how ideas resonate beyond individual events and have a transformative impact. All these naturally make him the best person to ask any and all questions regarding interviews. Today's session is on how one navigates the interview space. We're all going to be facing interviews throughout our careers. Some of us already have. And I'm sure a lot of you have flunked at least one interview in the past. I know I have. And hence, I'd like to call upon Mr. Hruday to enlighten us about all the pitfalls and nuances related to the interview process.
Yeah, hi, good morning. Good evening. Can
Hi.
you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're audible, yes.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. Thanks for the introduction, lovely introduction. So, begin session today. So, as you said, uh, interviews are key part when you are getting into a corporate segment, and 5 years, 10 years back, interviews were different, and now interviews are entirely different, and the kind of criticality has increased. And I remember during my great old engineering days, to give you, I'll give you a brief about myself, then we'll go on, go ahead. So I'm a computer science graduate. By option, it was not a choice because all I had to do was either electronics or computer science. That's the generation which I am from. So I from my starting of my early childhood, I wanted to get into a human resource segment or maybe a psychology stuff, but things were different. Got into computer science, loved programming, but still I didn't want to go into that side because that was not my cup of tea. So then I started my journey with the fintech firm based out of Hyderabad. It was a startup, so most of our age guys, when we have somewhere around 8 to 9 years of experience, our initial career started with a startup. So that's where I learned what not to do, what to do. So then on, the journey from startup to multi-million dollar MNCs. And currently I'm working for a firm called T-Box. It's based out of Siliguri. So I'm working for D2C brand, which is as a HR manager. So right from the generalist to a recruiter, lead, then a manager. This is how my journey has been. So apart from that, as you said, TEDx, it's generally, it has been a major part of my growth too, because when you meet different speakers, when you get to talk to them, when you interact with them, you understand life stories. Because that's the other way of learning around, either experience them or learn from others' experience. So we'll start today's session.
Right. So let's dig into the main subject we have. Um, what is the biggest challenges currently aspirants face during interviews? Like, where do they fail most often?
Okay, sounds great. So see, when you appear for interviews, I know it's not just one interview. So you're lining up for 10, 15, 20. That's where the first mistake is. Don't blindly keep applying to numerous. What happens is, right from the hiring cycle, I'll give you insight about how do we hire, what are the different stages. So first will be your screening stage, screening of profiles. Traditionally, 5 years back or 4 years back, it was done by a recruiter going through your profile, understanding it, then calling you. But the onset of AI has made it difficult. Now, uh, almost, let's say, if 200 or to 300 guys apply, only 30 to 40 get shortlisted by AI. Now, the first step to get through an interview is to prepare a CV or a resume, which will get you a AI, AI generated ATS score at least above 95. For that, using of keywords. So what kind of keywords do I use? It again depends upon the kind of job which you applied. So that's the reason, I said you should not apply for, 50, 60. You have to be very picky about which particular stream you're going to apply. Let's say if you're a computer science grad, I don't want you to apply front end, back end, then cloud, then UI UX, with just one singular resume, you'll not be ending, and you'll never end up anywhere. So you have to, before your final year, or before your campus interview start, you have to make up a mind where do you want to give a try first. Accordingly, your resume has to be edited. Let's say uh, Anshul wants to become a UI UX designer. So his resume should not talk about project in Python and courses in AI stuff. Gone. That's a big red flag. His resume should talk about right from objective passion towards creativity, creative designs, talking about wireframes, talking about few projects related to UI UX, of few personal projects which he has done. Then GitHub link or maybe portfolio link. Creating portfolio link has been a major part. So this is where initial step to get into a ATS, we call application tracking system, enhanced with AI. Once that is done, your next step is screening call, which you get from a recruiter.
Wait,
Here,
so
yeah,
if I get you
yeah,
right, you're saying that you shouldn't just dump all of your achievements into one CV. Like you should
yes,
optimize, you should not include other stuff if you're applying to a particular job.
yeah.
That's interesting.
Frankly speaking, let's say if I want to hire a UI UX designer, let's say 10 guys are applying. Let's say Anshul applied, Archit applied. Archit is talking about more of UI UX related, projects which he has done and shared links. And, Anshul dumped a lot of stuff, AI stuff, then Python stuff. He might be very great in that, but why would I care that? Because my specific goal would be getting a right person, right fit, and he might be also good in UI UX. So whom do I go first? Practically speaking, logically speaking, I will go to someone who has mentioned UI UX as a whole. I know it pains because whole childhood we are taught to be master of all, but then the times have changed. Now there are people are specifically looking for specification. So if you're talking about data centers, your CV should talk about that, more about that. Maybe 70%, 70 to 80% should about that. Then other skill sets will work out. They will add a weightage. So as I was saying, next is the call. The traditional way of people calling you, asking you, about can you walk through them about your experience, about your profile. So what people generally do is why do we call? We generally call to test your communicational skills. How do you react? What happens is you guys in a generation you text a lot, while rather than talking a lot. We are from a generation where we used to speak hours to hours. I mean, you guys still talk, but when you change the mode of language, there is a big problem. So I myself I spoke to many freshers. What happens is I get only one word answer. Now my you understand my challenge. I have to gauge a person's communication only with one word answers. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, or exact only one word. So how do I gauge it? Then I have to put some extra effort, making you feel comfort. Then ask, why don't you tell me about more about yourself? Then I end up getting the traditional format which many of the trainers give you. My name is this. I'm from so and so college, school, XYZ. See, I'm not blind. I can see your resume.
Hmm.
I just want to know, how do you express, yourself? How do you actually know what you're good at? So you have to then tell about, what you're good at, what your passion is, what's your plan. This is how you generally introduce yourself rather than the same traditional stuff about your schooling, graduation, your project. And sadly, there are freshers who talk about their family also. My father is this, my mother is this, my brother is this. That's a very big red flag because I didn't want to. You don't need to tell about your personal family background to anyone. Even they ask, it's not required. We only care about who you are. That's it.
Right.
So this is the stage two. Now stage two, if they're cleared, then it's all about their technical nuances. How do they convey what they are really good at? because I remember, my physics teacher or my principal talking to me, telling that learn the terminology. It's
Mm,
all English, but learn the terminology. Because see, you might be really good at work, really good at your technical stuff, but if you cannot explain it in a proper terminology to a tech guy sitting before you and doing interview, any technical, even for non-technicals, there is a certain technical stuff. So it's very difficult. So you have to convey them what you know, what you don't know, what your aspiration is, and what are you doing to fill up the stop gaps. Very simple in a technical way. That is
right.
your tech round. So someone who has clear tech round, right? Now there is a high. Let's say, how do I tell? When I started my career, if someone clears the tech round, they are sure shot in. But now the pain point is 100. Almost if you interview 100 freshers, 20 will get into tech round.
Mm,
Manager round, they flunk out. Why? What happens is between the tech round and managerial round, few people get overachieving. Few people will change the way they were in the first, tech round. So keep it very simple. Even in the managerial round, don't talk much about what kind of preferences you want. People tend to be the I'll tell you in interviewers, recruiters scope is to find the right guy. Technical, lead scope is to test you. Manager's scope would be always to test your behavioral skill and make sure you get rejected, not selected. So it's all about mindset. People always think it's interview, so they'll ask set and set. So managerial rounds are very tricky. They'll make you feel comfortable. Then if you slip up, gone. That's it. So
mm,
it's all of interviewing is all about like chess game. You have to be very clever, always ready about what you're answering. So that's where you should be very clever. Same set of answers which you have given to tech guy should go to manager. Then you'll clear it out. Final is HR discussion, where rarely people get rejected until unless they have plans somewhere else, or they themselves take. For example, I know the industry is I should not say, but they are discriminate towards gender. They are discriminate towards your, family occasions, whether you're going to get married or not. So this is something in which you yourself will tell them, and discriminate towards your desperation to get job. I've seen freshers talking about their whole family history, like how we see in movies, like I have a mother in hospital. I cannot survive with this job. See, you yourself are giving a leverage to someone else by talking all this. To they may not be pro at psychology, or they may not be pro at understanding situation, but you're giving them that added advantage. Though you might be really good in everything,
mm,
and you end up saying, I have never been out of, let's say, Bangalore. You're actually applying from Delhi, and you say, I'm never out of Delhi. This would be for the first time, and I think it would be challenge, but I would try to, do it. But I don't know what if my parents say. The last statement gone. They will keep you aside. So this kind of personalized answer, I would always ask freshers to keep it away. Just keep it plain, simple. Talk about your skills. Talk about what do you know about the company. Research about company. Research about their products. Research about your role. Try to question the manager about more about the role. What would you do if you get selected, and how does that align? And help them understand what is your plan, and try to solve how does that align your career goals. That should be your agenda. So this
right.
is very and simple. This is the reason why people face challenges during the interviews.
Right. Uh, there's a follow-up question regarding what you said, Ki you should research the company and you should research the roles. And what exactly should you know before going into the interview round? What's the checklist of, stuff you should prepare beyond the technical skills, of course?
See, beyond the technical skills, to be frank enough, let's say you're talking about some XYZ company. So let's say about Adobe. So what would you do is go through the Adobe website, understand who built when, where, who is the board of directors. See, it's like knowing the whole, details right from the birth till the current, everything, the kind of products they are doing, which kind of products are related to your role. Let's say they have AI related 3 4 products.
Mm,
Understand what those products are, or what services are, and understand how they are related to your role. Let's say you applied for a deep learning expert, and Adobe has something related to AI and deep learning stuff. They have listed in their products. So try to open it if you can, if it's open for all, or try to research more on that, because then you can connect with the tech guy or the manager. Oh, will I be working on that particular project? I have done some research. This is what I know, and this is how my particular project or research is suitable for you. So you get more content to talk about rather than general tech and tech based questions.
yeah, that makes sense. Um, so moving on to the technical skills, how does one exactly sufficiently represent, like convey these skills, your skill set to the interviewer? 'Cause beyond just listing them down, I know this, I know this, I know this. How does one convey them properly to the interviewer?
See, this won't be a problem because you guys, if you're talking about general technical stuff, you clear the test. Then they
Mhm.
follow most of the interviews. 90% of the interviews would be, how did you solve that test? What was your approach?
Mm,
Why did you do this particular model or particular, let's say, method? What is the thought process behind it? Then they start questioning, making you guess.
mm,
Okay, what if, why don't you, why didn't you use this? Why didn't you use this? Why didn't you use this? So that's where you should be, very smart about why you have used it. Let's say you don't know other methods. So you can say, hey, I have done the methods which I have known, and I'm open to learn if there is a better way to do that. And I'm still learning. It's a vast, see, any particular knowledge stream, let's say it can be HR, it can be finance, it can be tech, it can be any, let's say MBA, any kind of MBA role. All of these are huge sea. You cannot master them within 4 years. All they check is, are you in a position where you can be adapted, technically adapted, because few people feel the challenge in adapting.
mm,
Sometimes manager may say whatever you have learned is entirely wrong. During the interview they might tell to rattle you. Then you should be in a clear headspace that, okay, I understand that, uh, and if I get opportunity, I would definitely try to learn it the right way, rather than playing the blame game of victim card. Many of them will start immediately playing a victim card that, our college taught this. I know our college doesn't have a professors, vagera vagera vagera. Or they'll blame, this. I went to this particular institute. They taught me only this. I know only this. Uh, I think they taught me wrong. So it's all about your approach. See, I told you, right. Anyway, no one wants an expert in their organization. All they see is, are you capable enough with the basic fundamentals of any technical stuff,
mm,
and do you have a mindset to learn taking criticism? That's a very big challenge which people are facing now. I understand the kind of pressure you guys are under, because for us, learning one programming language was enough to get job. For you, it's a big ocean. I mean, if I'm talking about only CSE guys, or
mm,
maybe any other stream also, learning one stuff is not enough. You have to become a master of one particular stream entirely. So I understand the kind of pressure you are into. So sometimes you might break when someone criticizes your effort of learning so much. Because
mm,
I know even they didn't have to learn all this stuff. They might have learned over 10 years, which you're learning within 1 year span. So that's the irony now. You guys have a lot to learn in short span of time, but clever enough until, and you don't know until when it is, until where it is enough. As a recruiters or as a HR team, we also don't know. Sometimes my tech guy might end up you asking a question which even their seniors cannot solve.
mm.
It's not to reject you; it's to see you gauge your depth, and how do you react when you break it. That
That's interesting. All right, that was technical questions, but I think a lot of people in the audience right now, particularly, have a pain point on the open-ended and somewhat personal questions. Key, how do you see yourself in 5 years? Stuff like that. What do interviewers mean when they ask these kind of questions, and how does one, meet these expectations?
See, uh, you should understand your manager is not from the generation Z. Very first thing the person is asking is not from your generation, not from your bandwidth, doesn't understand your language. That's the first rule. So if someone is asking where do you want to be in 5 years, please don't say that I will be at your position. Frankly, that's the answer which we get.
Yeah.
I understand you might become. It's not that you may not,
Mm.
but you should understand the guy who has spent 10 to 15 years getting to that position gets answer from a fresher that no, I'll be a lead in 5 years. Because you should understand organizational structures. Now it's changing because generation Z is faster. That's what I told. What others learned in 5 years, you're learning in 1 year. So obviously you are faster. Your ladder up the chain, your corporate ladder will be faster when compared to the older generation. I understand fact. But not everyone in the industry are ready. So keeping that in mind, you should be very clever that, hey, I would like to master my skills. Let's say this is where I am at this level. So I want to become someone who can solve any kind of a challenge. Parallelly, I would love to explore, leadership opportunities because I have been a leader, in kind of a fest or maybe a project. I'm a leader doing my project. If you're telling this, your follow-up question would be related to leadership qualities because at the time of interview also they might look at your future scope. Let's say no manager will take interview just because you'll stay only 2 years, which is a new normal in any company. They would think about what if this guy will be for next 5 years or 10 years with me.
Mm.
That is the mindset because companies interview for a long term plan. They don't interview you for a high take them then flesh out. Okay, I understand the current market is in a such a way that most of the service companies they take after 2 years or 1 year they flesh you out, then again they hire. But the managers are not hardwired in that way. So this is how it is. So the open-ended questions are always to check your pulse and make sure you know you should always remember that you're not talking to a person who know you for a long time. This is complete stranger. So
Right.
if they're asking you, let's say, hey, I'll tell you a scenario where we were interviewing as not a fresher, even seniors do the same mistake when they're interviewing. A fresher was asked, let's say there's a product which I have to deliver to my VIP client,
Mm.
and being a startup, he is one of your VVVIPs, and he is delivering that product as a gift to his wife, and right before the day of their wedding anniversary you got to know that uh, this gets delayed in the delivery. Now, the manager will ask you, what would you do in that scenario if you're a VVIP? Now, traditional old answer which everyone will give is, I'll ask them, I'll ask this, I'll I'll give them some, a complimentary gift. That's not a manager was expecting. Manager was expecting you to understand the severity of this because he's a VVIP. He's not your first time customer. And you cannot lose him. Sometimes many more opportunities might open, and it is very, very important occasion. And he's not somewhere you're in Bangalore and he's in Delhi. If even after giving this clarity, what would you do as a person? You take a same product within the inventory, carry it, catch a flight, go there, and deliver by yourself, along with a complimentary story. Very simple, right? Now, for that, I've seen freshers complicating it that, I would ask my logistical guys why this has happened. Can it be done? I'll arrange some other. There's no other option, right? The guy has planned some XYZ gift. He cannot give his wife a gift hamper as a gift. Just imagine. So this is the criticality they look at. Would you do all hands on? At the same time, there are questions sometimes. What if you come across a problem and it's 11 o'clock already, and you are there? Would you solve it? So this is another set of managers' mindset. You should always guess about your managers. I mean, the manager who's I'm just asking you that question. You should observe their behavior, how they are, reacting to your questions. Change answer accordingly. Prepare your answers, not change. Prepare your answers accordingly. While you're talking, when you're talking about traditional stuff, how are they reacting? Are they happy, or they are like another orthodox guy? If you're talking about your modern views, generally when they ask you open-ended, is he like showing a frown? He or she is showing disappointment. Then you should understand, oh, this is not, I might not be the right set. So for the second scenario, what it would be ideal situation would be, I'll first reach out to my teammates if anyone of either one of them are available. If neither one of them are available and it's critical, deployment, of sure, then all I have to do is sit down, get it work, take 3 hours of break, come to office again morning. It won't happen every time, but when it happens, I'm flexible to do that because I understand it's a very critical position and critical scenario, and company has given me that responsibility.
Right.
So this is how people, managers ask open-ended questions to test your adaptability, how flexible you are. At the same time, don't say that I'll only do everything.
Mhm.
That again is a very big red flag. You have to talk them about the thought process steps.
Right.
A process step, plan A, plan B, plan C. That's how it has to be planned.
Yeah. How would you go about dealing with the situation? Yeah.
Yeah, dealing with the situation, and you have to make them understand your thought process, not the direct answer.
Right.
We are always habituated to give the direct answers. That's what I was saying, right? So you have to help them your thought process behind that answer. First, I would do this. Second, I would do this. Third, I would do this. Keeping the time also in hand, as a
Right.
check. Very
Right.
simple. You would easily clear that.
Right. So moving on, there's also a really big problem for people starting out, that is anxiety. Uh, Primarily when there's a question that you're stumped with that you don't know the answer to, and even if they give you some time to think it over, you just waste that time fretting about it. You don't actually come up with an answer. So what would you suggest to overcome this? And yeah.
See, there are two ways to deal with it. One is the traditional book way, saying that, sorry, at the moment I don't know. I would definitely like get a chance to know more about it once I'm back. That is
Mm,
the traditional book answer. Other way around is, if you're given a time, think about it and give it a try. Mentioning that you're not sure, but you might have heard somewhere and you're guessing it. And if you're wrong, that you really wanted to know what would be the right answer.
right.
And man, most of the time they will definitely ask you such kind of questions knowing that you will not be able to answer.
Mm,
Just to check your pulse, how would you react? Are you uncomfortable? Or do you get stuck suddenly? See, these kind of situations they ask because what if there's a client visit and out of nowhere client is talking to you?
mm,
Or what if there is a senior management visit and suddenly from a senior management ask you some question which you definitely don't know?
mm,
Because you say, right, known outcome, unknown outcomes. So interview is all about checking how would you behave during unknown outcomes, because your academics, your training is all about known outcomes, and job is when you do exactly, you get into the job field, it's filled with unknown outcomes. That's so rather than feeling stuck, anxiety, be smart about it. If you don't know, sorry, I'm not aware of it. I'm hearing for the first time. If you really want me to guess, there are managers who would, press you more. Give it a guess. Give it a guess. Okay, I would definitely give it a guess according to what I've learned. This might be right, might not be right, and I'm sorry if it is. I'm guessed wrong. Give it a guess. Very simple.
yeah.
Even after that you get rejected, then be happy that you got rejected, because there's no right answer for that, and you might have dodged a bigger bullet. It's wrong company altogether.
Right. Sometimes the other side is also wrong.
Yeah, I'm not saying every time freshers are wrong. That time sometimes managers will be hard on their ways. They already got one particular candidate good, then they pin extra everyone else.
Mm,
So it's all about give your best. These are the checkpoints. If you still get rejected, be happy that you have dodged a bullet. Very simple.
right. So I think one last question. How do you, like you mentioned before, that recently there's been a trend of, short hiring for maybe 1 or 2 years and then washing them out, hiring again. Why do you think this is happening, first of all? And second, how does one, avoid it? How you want to build a proper career in a company, so how do you avoid getting washed out after a year?
See, practically speaking, if you have to understand this, you have to understand the theory of money, how money flows, how project costs happen. So if you have, I mean, if you are most of the, if you have come across this COVID scenario, right? Before COVID, the salary ranges, the project costs were entirely different. During the COVID, everything has become 2x, 3x. I've seen people getting from 8 lakhs to 26 lakhs directly
Mm,
during this period. So you should understand very basic math. Higher cost, higher project budget, your need to get a higher project budget, project at a higher cost is, again, there's a huge pressure on company. So let's say if there are 10 people with times 3 the cost, the budget cost will become times 3. This budget is done, I mean, this project is done, you get your money, but the next project should also come at this cost, or maybe even more, because company wants to make profit. Very simple as that. And for that, what would you do? A company, if they get a project at a lower cost, they have to run, right? They cannot say, I want a project at $1 million, if not I won't take. So they will flesh you out. This is the irony and sad part which happens because of the you know meets expectations and whatnot stuff.
mm,
Here you cannot play a major role, but what would you do, as you said, to stay at least as one of the major options? You upgrade yourself. Let's say you have entered as a front end. You upgrade, you excel at what you're doing within 1 year's time.
mm,
Parallelly, learn backend, or other skills related to that particular project. So if they have to evaluate, they will evaluate guy XYZ. What are the skill set of X? What is skill set of Z? What is skill set of Y? Now all of them are at a very expensive cost. Now whom do we keep? A guy who knows only what work given to be done, a guy who knows what work given to be done in a better manner like others also, but has also proven himself or herself as a better option, has asked for a role outside of the scope of a project. Can I also do this? I've learned by myself. Can I be helpful to you without being greedy about the salary? Because the salary comes a secondary part. First, survive.
mm,
That first 3 4 years is all about survival in the current market, because of global uncertainties. Because what happens is most of the projects are luxury. When you I mean, this is something which you have to understand as a fresher also, what's going across the world. Whatever, whenever there's a war like situation, investment on luxuries will be less compared to the necessity. Why would an investor invest in something which is luxury,
mm,
which he or herself doesn't know whether the world exists tomorrow? What would you do? Where do you exist? If something happens to you, your generation down the generation would get is gold. Very simple. Assets, other assets. So projects will go down, expenses will, then the challenge would increase. So this is something which happens at a global scenario.
right. That makes sense. Like basically the salary and what they're offering has increased beyond the productivity
Yeah.
employers can offer. So that's why
Then you
they
have to scale up. Very simple.
you
You
have
have
to
to
scale up. You have
justify.
to stay ahead of the curve. Yeah, this makes sense. Uh, that those were all the questions we had prepared. If the audience has any questions, they can put them in the chat or you can raise your hands. I'll unmute you. Right, cool. If not, then this was a really enlightening session. I came out much more knowledgeable than I went in. and I hope it was the same for all of you all. I'd like to thank Sir for giving us his precious time and taking this session. Uh, and with that, we've come to the end. Oh, right. We do have a question. 1 second. Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you for sharing your insights. I just had one question. There is this one basic question that we are asked in all of our interviews is that why do we want to join their particular organization? What is our motivation? So there's a pretty standard way of answering it, textbook questions. But what can we answer? Does the interviewer looks for that will make us stand out?
Okay. See, basically, we anyone would ask you this question to check if you have done, background check. For example, let's say you have applied for a marketing role in XYZ company, and their reason would be why would you want to join us as a marketing, let's say maybe branding person, uh, uh, and what is your motivation behind? Your answer would be should be generally is talking about their product, talking about their market presence, talking about their motivation, because every company has a story. It's very simple because no story, no money. It's very 101 investment 101. So you have to tap into that story, understand. I mean, you have to know what is their story behind, starting this company or this product, and make up your own story that hey, your story resonates with what I have tasted. For example, tea. Let's say I'm a very big chai lover, and what you're doing direct from the source, giving your freshly tea leaves into the market, exactly helps me to get fresh cup of chai every day. So I also want to be a part of this. That's my motivation behind it, and I want to make sure we reach to a greater heights or something like that,
All
and
right.
learn on. Yep.
So basically, we have to align our motivation with their vision and mission.
Yes.
All right. So thank you so much.
One follow-up on that.
Mhm.
Uh, isn't it very easy to be misconstrued or come off as fake when you're, trying this? Because you can't be sure whether someone's being true on what they're saying regarding their motivation, right?
See, as a recruiter or as a manager, I don't want them to to be real or fake. I want to just check if they have done the diligence, understand about our story. What happens is I've seen MBA guys applying for a proper 5 years of finance guy as accountant applying suddenly for a Python role with a
Mm,
no experience of certifications or anything. So now, how do you think a person at the highest level can also filter it out? They ask this, and this question is always asked at a you know managerial or senior managerial level. At that level, they want to check: do you have that passion? Do you really know the story behind the company? Because they are all passionate guys. Why are they with the company for 5 years? Why are they at that level giving contribution? Because responsibilities increase and they spend a lot of time and effort building up a company. So would you help them, or would you become a pain? That's what they are texting. You may be a fake, you may not be you may not have a motivation, because money is a factor. See, obviously you join there after 1 year or getting a better opportunity, you will go.
mhm.
That fact we also know. But all we check is at that particular moment, do you I mean, do you have skill set to do due diligence? Do you have that sense of responsibility to know a company at least before a final round?
Right.
Or are you shopping around like others, taking 5 10 offers, then selecting one?
That
That's
makes
it.
sense. Mm,
Because we also know no one is with any one particular company forever. You may leave it within 3 months if you're not suitable. If things won't match out, you may leave within a 1 month, or you can leave after 5 years. It's all about at that moment, have you done that due diligence?
that makes sense. Thanks a lot.
Sure.
Um, so if there's no other questions, we'll bring this session to a close. Right.
Till then,
So
it was nice talking with you
yes, it was really
and
nice.
all.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Uh, do join us tomorrow, to the audience. Do join us tomorrow for the second session of Talkmasters regarding communication that would get you higher. And wish you a very good, very pleasant weekend. Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye bye.
Bye.